I'm the Managing Director and founder of Pledge Consulting, and I'm going to talk for about the next 35 minutes on how Copilot can help you be more efficient and more effective on projects. So we are going to record the session, but we won't be allowing any note takers in the session. So if we do get note takers or bots during the session, Daniela will likely kick them out. Daniela is here with me in the office. She's going to be manning the chat, or womaning the chat, I should probably say. So if you have questions as we go, please don't hesitate to ask them. Daniela, I think everybody is muted by default. So Daniela will jump in and ask the question. And if you'd like to wait till the end of the session, there will be time for questions then as well. So without further ado, maybe I will share my slides. All right, so welcome. Just a little bit about me, 30 seconds. I know a lot of the names on the chat anyway, but as I mentioned, founder and managing director of Pledge Consulting. I guess the biggest thing I'd like you to know from this slide is that I don't come from a technology background. I did one semester of computer science at uni and it was a bit too hard, so I quit. But what I will say is I am a technology enthusiast. And both as a business within Pledge and with our customers, we've been excited about this technology since OpenAI released ChatGPT in November 23. And so we've really been at the cutting edge of testing capability. And obviously that started with ChatGPT, but now Copilot seems to be the main tool of choice for most of our clients and the project management community more broadly. It's not the only tool, but it is the one we're going to focus on today. So why choose to use Copilot? Well, I think the main reason that Copilot's getting such a focus at the moment is because a lot of organizations have switched it on. It's becoming a default part of the Microsoft 365 business product. And I know from speaking to lots of people, while it's being switched on, people are not always getting very much in the way of training, and they're certainly not getting training in the context of our business, which is projects. So we're on a bit of a mission here to show project professionals and to help showcase to project professionals how exactly Copilot and large language models generally actually can help you do your job in a more effective way. So what is Copilot good at? So like all large language models, Copilot is good at drafting up content, things like emails. We've all had an angry email that we go to reply to straight away. No longer do we have to sit on it till the next day. We can pop it into Copilot and say, make this sound more professional and less angry. And Copilot will help get a sensible tone back in that email. So really good as a drafting partner. Very, very good at summarizing long documents. I'm not in the habit of completely trusting any large language models actually and not missing out anything important. But I've got to say my feedback on how well large documents are summarized is very good. So again, you know, you might have spent 45 minutes reading a document in the past. I think these days you can probably do it in 7 or 8 minutes and then just do a cursory check through to make sure you're happy. An absolute game changer for summarizing long documents. And also we use it a lot for structuring, translating bits of information that come from different places that we want to structure and make sure that we have a clear idea about how we're communicating. So very, very good as a partner for written content. What is Copilot not? So it shouldn't be a decision maker. It shouldn't be utilized as a source of truth. The inputs are somewhat unpredictable. Even if you are using we'll talk a little bit about where Copilot draws its information from shortly, but even if you're sourcing that information from your own enterprise information, that's probably a variable quality. So it shouldn't be used as a source of truth unless you are absolutely 100% on the quality of that data. And it's not a substitute for stakeholder engagement. It's also not a substitute for machine learning based AI tools, things that are specifically designed for analytics tasks. Although the use cases that I've tested in terms of analytics do quite a good job, and Microsoft is in a soon to drop release is going to release a Copilot agent that handles analytics. So it's not too bad at that in my opinion. I think what I'd like to hold up as the outcome promise from incorporating Copilot in your daily work is that it will save you time, absolutely no question at all. Used correctly, it will lift the quality of what you do. And again, used as a partner, it will reduce your rework. So there's some definite benefits to getting into the habit of using Copilot in your day-to-day work. So today we are going to focus on Copilot chat only. Now we do a whole day session on Copilot, and in that session we cover agents, we cover how to use Copilot in all of the separate Microsoft apps. We talk about using Copilot in SharePoint. We're not going to do any of that this afternoon. In the time we have, we're just going to focus on what we have in front of us here, which is the Copilot chat interface. So there's a couple of things to note in Copilot chat. We access it here. Now, what I'm showing you might look a little bit different from organization to organization. I know, for example, that some organizations have not switched on the agent capability. On some instances, I've seen the chat window is on the right side instead of the left side. So there are small differences from organization to organization, depending on what your IT team have decided is the right level of access for your business. But for the most part, though, I think you'll find that this matches up reasonably well with what you'll see on your screen. So the other thing to talk about here is this tab at the top that toggles between work and web. That is the source of your information. And again, not every organization will switch on this work toggle. What this does is it tells Copilot that when you ask a question in chat, you want to source the information from your own enterprise data. And that enterprise data includes all of the Microsoft apps, as well as anything that you have in Copilot and Teams. Excuse me. That is assuming that your IT team have switched that functionality on. The other toggle is web. That, as you might expect, obvious, that sends any requests for information back out to the web and sources it from websites and other sources as per a normal LLM. So it's quite a powerful feature and is very helpful when you are looking for specific documents or specific answers to work-related questions. Some of the good use cases I've seen for this work button are things like, what is our policy on parental leave, for example? If you've got specific policies or standards, Copilot chat can be very useful for going and getting that specific information. Previous chats over here. Copilot is getting better and better at remembering chats from the past. When Copilot first came out, it was actually 12 months ago, it was quite a weak model compared to the other LLMs. Today, it's at the forefront of, I think, remembering context and remembering what you've told it before. Very, very effective. So the more you use Copilot, the more you engage with it, the more it knows about you, the more it knows about your organizational context, and the better those outcomes will become. As I mentioned, we have agent functionality here. Copilot comes with 2 standard agents at the moment. Researcher, which is, as the name suggests, it's a good researcher tool for anybody who uses ChatGPT. The researcher function in Copilot is the same pretty much as deep research in ChatGPT. And the analyst agent is pretty good at data. There are a number of other agents that are in beta that you can actually go in and find and switch on. But again, I know not every organization has switched this agent capability on yet, and we're certainly not going to go any deeper with that today. The thing that you will see on the top is the model that ChatGPT is utilizing. So this screen's a couple of weeks old now. If you press that button today, you actually think shorter for a quicker answer. The Microsoft just announced, I think they're rolling it out already in the US, but they've just announced that they are going to have Copilot be a multimodal model. So what that means is that it won't just draw from ChatGPT. They're actually announced that Claude will be another model that will be available within the Copilot ecosystem, which means any security concerns that you have with using Claude as a separate model should be taken care of by the Microsoft ecosystem. Bordering on the boundary of my technical expertise with the security things and the different models. But what that means is, and I haven't really played with Claude that much. A lot of people like Claude because they say it's great with written content, better than ChatGPT. So in a few weeks' time, you'll have the option to test those different models within the Copilot environment, which is good. So a couple of rules of engagement when we start to use Copilot. So rule number one, I think the golden rule, I'd have it in flashing lights if I could. Start with context. The more context you give the model, the better the outcome. So if we're talking about a project management context, talk about the project goal, the scope, the stage, the audience, the constraints. The more information you feed it, the better quality the outputs will be. Same deal exactly with outputs. If you don't specify what output you want, it will just be in standard text, which might be fine, but you can ask for table, bullets, RAID log, agenda, email. You can ask it to throw it out to a Word document or a PowerPoint deck or an Excel spreadsheet. If you are specific about the format you want, Copilot does a really good job, particularly with the Microsoft formats, although it will also send it out to a PDF. It does a really good job of giving you what you've asked for if you're clear about what you want. And then I think that the third rule, and this is one where sometimes people get a bit frustrated, is that expect that what you get might not be right in the first instance. And it may be a case that you missed the mark with rule 1 and 2. You weren't clear enough. Excuse me. You might not have been clear enough, or it might just have gone off and given you something that you didn't really want or didn't expect. It's very easy and fast to iterate. Go back to the model, say, this isn't right, correct assumptions, tighten it up, add in your organizational language, use it as a partner to get the better information. If you ask if you ask Copilot for something and it gives you an output and that output isn't right, and then you walk away, you've missed a massive opportunity. Treat it as a partner in whatever it is you're doing. You'll get a much more satisfactory experience. The other thing I'd say in here as well is if you find a particular prompt that works well for you, just keep a spreadsheet, keep a prompt library, easy to copy and paste and change it. Again, chat history is helpful with that now. You can go back and see what you said, but I'm personally in the habit of just keeping a little bit of a prompt library to help me when I'm doing certain tasks, go straight back to something that was good. All right, so I did promise in this webinar some practical examples of how Copilot can be useful. And to do that, we've created a small fictional case study. It's a mid-sized health services provider, and it's a simple relocation project. So moving from Melbourne to Brisbane, we've got some key drivers there. Timeline is 6 months. The situation there, you can see I've bolded some of the key elements of the project. So it's not just a physical relocation. It does involve technology, changes to suppliers, updated regulatory and payroll settings, significant people and change components, including travel, relocation, and new hiring. So the reason for that context is that when I ask Copilot to do something, it's going to draw on what I've fed it, which is this case study, and provide the outputs and artifacts based on what it's been given. So just additional parts of that information. So 6 streams: property, IT, people, ops, financial and legal, and service continuity. This is the only information that I've provided to Copilot for the following artifacts that we're going to produce. So the next few slides are really some show and tell on what Copilot produces when you feed it specific prompts and ask for specific outputs. Now, I do always toy up with whether I should do this live time, but when we did simulate doing some of it live time, some of the responses were coming back taking 30 or 40 seconds, which isn't long when you're generating an artifact, but it's too long really for a webinar like this. So we have kind of I've generated the artifact, and then I'll show you what it looks like on the slide. So our first prompt, based on the project scenario, so the previous 2 slides, develop a comprehensive risk register that allows me to track likelihood and consequence of occurrence, who has ownership of the risk, and when it's due for resolution. Then, if happy with the output, export to Excel. So I usually give it the prompt, see what it comes back with, and then if I like it, my next command is export to Excel. So with that prompt, based on the previous 2 slides, this is what Copilot produced. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so you can see I've gotten, did I get 43 risks? Okay, yeah, there we go. I've got 32 risks. They're categorized. I've got cause, event, impact. It's also given me this quite nice little likelihood and consequence scoring system, which I didn't specifically ask for. I've got mitigation, I've got contingency. You can see it is what I asked for. It's a comprehensive risk register. Now, when I was, talking with some of the team about this, their question very sensibly to me is, when people go and try and do this, is that what they will get? And the answer to that is almost certainly not. And it's in the prompt, right? Because I have asked for a comprehensive risk register. And the other thing that I did was I had the work toggle on my chat window. So it's gone back to our SharePoint site, our Teams files, and it's looked for a comprehensive kind of risk register based on what we have in our archives. Now, as we're a project management business with risk specialists, it's not surprising that it would pick up something quite complex. If you do that in yours, if you're a complex project delivery organization, you might find the same. If you have the web button toggled, you might find that you get something more complex back, or alternatively more simple. We did try it again, changing the prompt to a simple risk register, and this is what it came up with when we asked for a simple one. So not only more simple in terms of structure, actually much less detailed in terms of content as well. So you can see there's some nuance there around the things that you might ask for, and it's certainly worth playing around with to make sure that it hits the mark for you. But certainly, even when you're iterating your prompts and you're saying, not that complex, or draw on this project, or it's certainly a lot quicker to do that than it is to start from scratch with a new risk register. So worth spending a bit of time, I think, to iterate. The other thing I'll mention on each artifact that I show you is just the quality of the data. Because I asked for comprehensive here, perhaps I did get those 47 risks. Now, hard to know how many risks a project of this type, because it's a fictional case study, right? It's hard to know how many would be the right number, but I would suggest it would be more than 47. So again, if you want specific, if you're not getting specific things that should be there, then you either enter them in manually, or you prompt it to say, what about this and what about that? And are you sure? Is that everything that is a risk on this project? And then you will get you'll get adjustments to your outputs. So these aren't in any particular order, actually. But the next one we looked at was a prompt of, can you build a work breakdown structure for this project and give me a multi-level project schedule in Excel? And again, that prompt was copied and pasted, put into Copilot chat based on the 2 slides that you saw earlier. I didn't give it any additional information. So let's see what we got. There it is. So this is what it gave me. Now, so we got 53 lines. Again, I'm sure in the real world it would be more than 53 lines. But a few things to point out with this one. The first time I did this, it didn't give me 53 lines. It gave me about 12 lines. So I had to go back and say, you haven't given me a full data set. And when I put that prompt in, it came back with the 53 lines. Now, if it had gone back again and said, you haven't given me the full data set, it would have added some more. But without additional context, you find that it just adds waffle. It never says, I don't know, there's no more, sorry, you're not asking me for something I can do. It will never do that. And so you really have to keep your critical thinking skills switched on, I guess, to realize when you're getting waffle and when you're getting value added information. So I kind of left it at the 53 because that looked reasonably sensible to me. The other things it's given me, again, without me providing any additional context. So it's put some dates in here. It's put durations in there. This is all Copilot's estimation of what this project will take. Is it accurate? Well, it's a fictional case study, so it's definitely not accurate. Is it sensible and reasonable? For the most part, it's not too far away. I would use this as a starting point. I would never present this as the finished product. This is the starting product for us to go through line by line and say, okay, how long is it going to take for a concept design? How long is it going to take for approvals? It's suggested 45 days. Is it going to be more or less than that? It really gives us a hand up, I think, in the starting to workshop planning, project planning generally. It's just easier than starting at a blank sheet of page, accepting that it's given us this information with not very much context, certainly in this case. Also the format of it, I said a multi-level schedule based on a work breakdown structure. I didn't say anything about the columns that I expected to see. Again, it's going back and looking at our SharePoint and our team site, and it's pulling out what it thinks a typical schedule is like. It's thinking about what I might want, and it's given me exactly that back. So I've talked about the problems with the first cut of the data. You really, I think, in our estimation, anytime you get a return from Copilot, even when the context is very good, you've got to expect it to be 70 to 80% of what you're looking for. And I'd say even lower than that if you are dealing with data. So our examples so far have been pretty traditional, just to keep things nice and even for those people who are working in more agile ways. We've got an agile example here. So as part of this relocation project, a new website is to be built. The prompt is build a backlog for the new website that is to be built as part of the project and export it to Word. So I haven't asked for the backlog first and then export it to Word. I've just said send it straight out to Word. And again, I didn't give it any extra context. I haven't given any details about any agile part of this project. And this is what it's given me. Not too bad, based on not very much. If I'd have given it more context about the output, I could have said, do this in our company colors, brand it, bold it. I could have gone on and said, build me a sprint plan. And in fact, I did actually, when I was testing the scenarios, I did ask it to build me a sprint plan. But because I haven't given it enough context, it was a bit waffly and of no real value. Back to my, sorry, give it to me again.
Yeah. Can you guide the model to specifications or templates for same look and feel for each return? For example, in that schedule generation example.
Yeah, it's a great question. You absolutely can. If you have an example of a Microsoft Word template or an Excel template, then it's very, very strong at giving you that format exactly. Where it's not amazing is in PowerPoint. And the reason for that, and I'm going to show you some PowerPoint stuff at the moment. PowerPoint, I think, is one of the most effective uses of Copilot. So I'm all in favor of using PowerPoint. But what we found, and what many other companies are finding, is our corporate PowerPoint packs are built in quite a complex way. And so Copilot doesn't like that complexity. They have a lot of metadata on them, and a lot of hidden graphics. And what we found is that it actually won't take our template exactly. It will use our colors, it will use our logo, but we find we do a bit more copy and pasting in PowerPoint. But in Word and in Excel, in terms of columns and formats and colors, no problem at all. Hopefully that answered your question. Onto PowerPoint. And again, there's so much more we could do on the apps. There is Copilot natively in each of the Microsoft apps, and you can use it to do different things. I'm just going to give you a really simple example on this one, but I think it's worth showing. And our prompt on this one is, and again, this was in the chat window, not in the app. Based on the artifacts created for BrightPath Health, create me a 5-slide PowerPoint summary of the project. Make sure the style is corporate. And this is what it produced in seconds. Let me do the slideshow because you can see that it's actually put on all the animations. You can see in my prompt, I didn't ask for animations. I didn't ask for images. Content is not too bad. Again, I didn't give it any guidance on specific content, but I think quite a nice look and feel. I didn't talk about colors. I didn't ask for anything specifically. So you can see that using PowerPoint is a very powerful tool within Copilot. I think as project professionals, like how many hours do we waste building decks? So in itself, I think the PowerPoint functionality here is justification to have the tool. And I would encourage you, if you do have access to Copilot, play around with this. It's fantastic. It does have some limitations, but absolute game changer for the time that we spend pulling PowerPoint decks together. All right, a few observations. For those of you that might have tried Copilot in the past, it's getting better every week. There's features that drop every week. It looks slightly different every week. I don't even think I get emails from Microsoft anymore telling me that things are coming. You just see this functionality appearing, and it's getting just tighter and tighter. There's releases in the next few weeks around using SharePoint. There's releases about getting Outlook messages into audio formats. There's lots happening with agents. So again, you're a little bit constrained by what your organization allows you to have, but certainly keep checking, and certainly keep agitating to get the latest features. It's a key message. You will often have to ask for things more than once. Don't be afraid to iterate. You might have to change the way you ask or what you're asking for. Focusing on good quality prompts is the key. On our day's training, we spend probably an hour and a half on prompts, designing them and testing them and iterating them. It's a real skill. So practice, that's the way to get better, practice. Image generation is now fantastic. Again, for a long time, it was the poor cousin to ChatGPT, even though it was kind of allegedly still using ChatGPT. Again, it's as good now, if not better, and it'll probably get better than ChatGPT as it starts to use other models as well. Research, talked a little bit about Researcher Agent, is now comparable with deep research. And as with all AI tools, again, a big message for me, it makes mistakes. Expect it to make mistakes. It's overconfident. It never says I don't know. It's like working with a really overconfident, annoying graduate. You have to oversee it. Don't switch your brain off. Your critical thinking skill, to use this well, your critical thinking skills are more important, not less important than they've ever been. So embrace it, use it as a partner, play with it, but try not to make the mistake of letting it kind of be accountable for outputs. It will let you down. Let me just do the next 2 slides and then I'll stop sharing, and then hopefully we'll have a heap more questions as well. Thanks, Daniela. Quick plug. We are running our 1-day practical AI for PMO and project professionals course again. It is completely updated for 2026. It does contain all the new Copilot features. It does contain all the, we do a version of this course that's just Copilot. We also do a version, and we run that specifically for organizations. This one is more general. We talk about ChatGPT, we talk about some of the other models, we talk about things like Manus and Lovable, which are agentic tools, and we also explain all of those terms as well. So it's by no means a technical course, very much in the same vein as we've been talking about it today, just having really nice tight use cases for us as project professionals. So information on that one is on our website. And for those of you in Melbourne, we are excited to be heading back there for the PMO Leadership Symposium in May. Again, we've got a whole day of good speakers, great case studies, and we're doing more interactive sessions than we've done in previous years as well. We've kind of really shaken that format up a little bit. So if you want more information on either of those 2 things, have a look at the website, or by all means reach out to Daniela. All right, I will stop sharing so I can see the people, and I'll take any questions. I should be able to see the questions actually. Let's see. We've got Margaret. Hey, Margaret. Can you ask for the Gantt to be built in Microsoft Project? I think I've tried to do this. My first instinct is I don't know, but what you can definitely do is you can build it in Excel, save it as a CSV file, and put the CSV file into Project. I think that's the way I've done it in the past. So super easy. If you are talking about putting things into Copilot, it won't read an MPP file, but it will read a Microsoft Project file that's been saved as a PDF. Same goes for Primavera XER files. It won't read the XER file, but it will read a picture or a PDF, no problem at all, which is quite useful, I think, for kind of schedule analysis and health check type stuff. Next question, with PowerPoint, are graphics free to use or are they copyright? The graphics that were created in that PowerPoint pack that I created earlier, they're all open source, no copyright in any of those at all. That's the standard Microsoft imagery that comes with your Microsoft license. Copilot for PMs 1 virtually. We can do it virtually for groups, Shiloh. We prefer not to do hybrid courses. Having said that, would we if we needed to? Maybe. If that's something you're interested in, let's talk offline. I like to have, if I run them, and I do run most of them, if I run them, I really find it valuable to be able to see the people in the room and see what they're having problems with, or if they're having problems with the technology. So for that reason, but look, that's not insurmountable. Hey, we're all doing things remotely these days. Full day, just I think that's the same question. We do Copilot training on request for organizations, or the more general AI training. So again, happy to have a chat separately if that's of interest. Can the agent mode be set up on all accounts? Great question, Victor. It can only be set, there's a couple of constraints on agents. They can only be set up if people have a Copilot subscription, and whether that Copilot subscription had access to agents depends on the settings that your IT team put in place. So you won't have any control about whether you see agents or not. That's an enterprise IT conversation. All right. Any other questions, comments? Oh, we've got Nigeria on the call. Thank you, Victor. I know we've got a couple of UK people as well who are up very early. So thank you for those of you who are coming from far and wide. I know we've got people from all over Australia. So yeah, look, I think it's a topic that people really care about, and we're very passionate about helping people raise their capability in this area. So if you do have questions, if you want any more information generally or on our training, please reach out to myself or to Daniela. All right, thanks, guys.